SaveWithConrad.com.
Yeah, I'm Justin Ruffin from Knoxville, Tennessee. What got me to Save with Conrad was the 83 Weeks podcast. I really wasn't thinking about getting rid of any debt. I just wanted to cash out some equity in the house to do remodeling. But I did both, so that was pretty awesome. Worked out great. Redid the foyer, built pantry space, and there's little odds and ends when I first bought the house that I wanted to take care of, and we were able to take care of it. So, yeah, paid off 2 cars and some credit card debt. So probably all in all, getting $30,000 in that. And then I got some $30,000 more equity out of the house, and still plenty of equity left over. So payment's good. I lowered my interest rate. I'm in a much better spot than I was. Super easy. Everybody was great. Very, very awesome people. Francis and Steve were great to work with. They were awesome. Made it for a very easy, seamless experience. I'd probably say all in all, probably $1,000 a month at least. I lowered my interest rate, especially the way the interest rates are right now, which is, that's amazing. I'm Justin Bruckman from Knoxville, Tennessee. I saved over $1,000 with SaveWithConrad.com, and I did a lot of renovations with that money as well.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to My World. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Oh, Connie, I wish we would have started rolling just about, a couple of minutes earlier where you were just dog-casting our producer extraordinaire, Dave Silva. He's just on top of things as we get into this episode. He's so engaged. He's so enthralled. We're going to have a lot of fun today, Conrad, regardless if Silva's awake, asleep, got anything prepared for today, any notes, any graphics, any images. We're going to get this done one way or another because it is beautiful outside here, Conrad. Wonderful weekend. First day on the lake was a Saturday afternoon, Conrad. It was beautiful. I don't know how your neck of the woods is going, but you're probably wishing you were down at the beach, but you're not. You're sitting here talking to me. We're doing My World. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of news going on, pal. There's always some fun news. So what you got on your mind today on this episode of My World?
As we're recording, it's Monday morning, April 28th, and earlier this morning, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff dropped a video that's got the entire wrestling world talking. Jeff, I know you get up and you're a man of routines and you've got your day structured, so you may have missed this morning. So I thought we'd just play a little clip here and let you react to it, see what you think.
All right.
Why so serious? Because you know who I am. But you don't know why he's here. This is so badass. Like, you people know who we are. You have no idea what we're about. We're back, Holster. We are so back. Just so better than before. It is so good to see you again, my brother. Oh, it's been too long. I love you the most. I love you the most. You are my favorite of all favorites. But we ran so hard. We changed the world one time. But now, we're here to wake them up. We're here to slice and dice the world of wrestling. And you're not gonna know what hit you. You know we've changed the world of professional wrestling. You can beat anybody. That's a given. Anybody. It's going to rock your world. Hey, should we tell them? Should we tell them who our third man is? Should we talk about his credentials? Should we talk about all of his championships? Should we talk about the world-class athletes that he has brought to the very top of this sport? Should we talk about that? No. Not yet. But do stay tuned, because when we do announce our third man, it's going to rock your world. Oh, he's a badass, too. He's a real badass. We're back. We're better than ever. And you can't wait to see. And we're coming to get you. I think they're all coming back to our side. I know it. I can feel it. I can smell it. I can see it.
So, Jeff, the entire wrestling world is wondering what the hell's going on. What do you make of the Hulkster and Eric Bischoff's new black and white NWO inspired video?
To say the least, NWO inspired, and they've teed it up for the third man. Wow. Okay, Conrad. My immediate reaction is, when they teased back in the day and shook the wrestling world, the third man was Hulk. And it was shocking. Nobody saw it coming. Obviously, a different time, different era. There was a lot of groundwork played in, Connie, in the fact that Nitro, just all the factors and layers in. We don't need to get onto that. They better deliver with the third man. It certainly got intrigue. Those guys have worked together, good God, 30 years now. So they've definitely, and it'd be fun to see kind of the amount of impressions that first 24 hours and then however long they roll it out. But nice teaser. I'll say that. Nice teaser. Curious to see what's next, man. That's it. Obviously well produced. In any wrestling fan, that's another thing that, advertising, marketing, they know the vibe. They know, but they better deliver with that third man in a big way, because that kind of how do you follow delivering with Hulk and a third man? But it's got it intriguing and where it's going to go, because there'll be, oh man, I bet the comments wherever they post this is going to be interesting.
Oh, there's so many comments, Jeff. And let me just go ahead and say, I've been peppered all morning. People think that I'm the third man and that they're starting a podcast, and this is podcast related. I'm not doing a podcast with Hulk Hogan. I do a podcast with Eric Bischoff every week called 83 Weeks. I am not the third man. I've seen other people saying, oh, it's Vince. And other people are like, even Aaron Sheen, who's a part of our live studio audience, he says, I'm not the biggest Eric and Hulk fan, but this has me intrigued.
Yeah.
So that lets me know, hey, they've done a good job. Like, I think from a movie trailer perspective, the most effective trailers are the ones that I would say set the hook, where I watch it and I say, hey, what happens next? Yeah. Like, if you can leave me some sort of a cliffhanger, I'm more inclined to want to see what's next. And I think everybody is paying attention. I guess, Jeff, I just want to find out, are you being obtuse? Are you starting a wrestling company with Hulk Hogan?
I can assure you. That's funny. So you're getting named in you and Vince are getting named in this. And those two, I guess I would have thought about it. It might go. I'm trying to think. It's obviously those two guys together. They're not stepping back in the ring. They're not stepping on AEW, WWE, Impact, TNA, Japan. They're not stepping, quote unquote, in a professional wrestling ring, so to speak, as talent. So it's a business venture. Anyway, it's got us talking. I just candidly didn't even put you guys in it, but they better deliver. They better deliver on the third man, but it's definitely got a good buzz and vibe. It'll be cool to see, like I said, how many impressions and just where it goes from here. But I love a good tee up. It's this day and age. We've talked about multiple times different ways to do it. Old Donald Miller and Story Brand, and there's several others. It's that route that, man, if you don't engage him with the story, game, set, match, it's over. And they've started their story. Good for them.
Did you find Don Miller just because he's local to your area, or did you just find him on your own and then we're kind of shocked that he was in your area? We'll move on. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Jeff Hardy.
Somebody sent me a social media clip of him and said, hey, I've gone through this class. Are you interested? And I went and had lunch, and that's how it was discussed. Yeah. I don't know. That's funny you call that back. And then, yes, I was shocked that he's in Middle Tennessee.
He's like right up the road from you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very good teacher. Very, and there's multiple ways, but I'm giving it a plug. The book Story Brand is very, very simple. But boy, if you're into marketing or professional wrestling or selling anything, pick the book up.
It's fantastic. You know, what it does is it teaches you, you know, how to allow your customer to be the hero of their own story, and you're going to sort of guide them along. But he also teaches you the mechanics of basic storytelling, and it's probably something that Jeff and you listening to this are very familiar with, because we all accidentally wind up thinking about story and talking about story when it comes to the confines of professional wrestling. So when you understand that structure, you see things coming. You can start a movie and look at your life and say, okay, here's what's going to happen. And you just kind of know right away, right?
But it engages you. I just
Yeah.
think that the professional wrestling is so. Look, I had a couple of guys. You don't even know this, Conrad, but independent wrestlers that I've met through the year, you know, over the last couple of years, and my emails out there, and they emailed me and, hey, got any advice? And both guys, because they're trying to figure out their character. You know, they've been wrestling 3 years and 5 years. And I said, if you really, really want my advice, go read this book and get back with me. It will kind of help you understand a couple of things. But yeah. And then they did. They emailed back and I said, do you understand the concept now that you have to invite your fan base into your story? They got it. So it's very, very cool on the, I like to give the analogy of talent and be relatable to that kind of stuff.
I don't think that Bryan Danielson is going to be the third man for Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. He's actually got a quote I wanted to share with you that I don't know that you saw, but I saw it over the weekend and thought, hey, this is worth bringing up to Jeff because I know what high regard you hold him in. He was recently interviewed about what's next for him. He says, my neck is wrecked, so it's not no chance, but it's risk versus reward at this point, right? So I want to be able to live comfortably with my wife and kids. One of the things our society has a real problem with is realizing when enough is enough. And I'm very satisfied with my career. And I think enough is enough. This is kind of refreshing to see in wrestling. You almost never see this. And of course, listen, we've heard this sort of speak before, and then they still come back. I don't think that Bryan Danielson has wrestled his last match ever. But clearly him saying enough is in regards to him being a more full-time wrestler. And I understand that full-time today means something totally different than it did 5 years ago, or certainly 15 years ago. But what do you make of this this statement from Bryan Danielson? Enough is enough.
Man, I am so jaded these days, Conrad, when I see stuff, because I immediately go, all right, was this a podcast? Was this a radio interview? Who's the host? Drill down, because context is king. And I look, again, this is me being cynical, Jeff. Were they leading the witness? All that kind of stuff. But I'm going to take it at face value for the My World listeners and say, yes, I and I've talked to Bryan. Last time I saw him was have I seen him since LA? Maybe I have. You just kind of look at that Wembley story, going back to story and him winning it there. And then, you know, going down the road with his hometown just miles away, where the last time he was in the ring and he did Mr. Moxley a solid, if you will. That's the kind of Bryan is unique. He's different, all in a very positive way. Conrad, I may shock you and surprise you, but in a way, I almost can see Bryan going, I'm done. Like, him truly not wanting to lace up the boots. Because when you look at his style, and look, Luthez was a wrestler's wrestler, and he wrestled, I think, into the 70s, if you will. So I'm not saying Bryan couldn't do it, neck injury, you know, neck getting back, but I don't think he's going to have the desire at all. So I can almost see Bryan truly finished, just kind of because of his personality makeup, if that makes sense. So, man, hats off to him. I love Bryan. I love Bryan personally and professionally, and I've said it multiple times on here. As far as in-ring storytelling, he's at the very tip top.
Tony Khan has come out and said that Bryan Danielson is still a part of the office. He's not at all the shows every week, but he's still a part of AEW.
Oh, yeah.
If you were running a promotion, again, this is fantasy booking. You're given the keys, and you've got a Bryan Danielson on your roster. And he's not going to be an in-ring full-time performer, but you have him at your disposal. Let me use a real estate appraisal term. What would the highest and best use of Bryan Danielson be, at least in your eyes, in 2025 for AEW?
Connie, I have given this more thought than you probably would even, or anyone be aware of. But there was a guy named Pat Patterson. And if you take Pat out of the equation of the WWF/WWE, I think we have a lot of different looks, especially on pay-per-view Sundays, if you will. I think the highest and best use are, I can't say every match, but I would say, and look, the business evolves and continues to evolve and changes and all that, but let's just say your top 3 to 4 matches per show, whether it's Dynamite, Collision, or pay-per-view / premium live event. It's exactly where I'd put him. Bryan, I want you to be in there, and not just the finish. I'm talking about from the time the talent walk through the curtain until the time both talents get back through the curtain. I want you to lay it out and rule with an iron fist if need be. Because Pat did that. Pat had a way and very engaging and this and that. But if he really wanted something, he knew he had Vince's backing. It got done in a big way. And you look at, Jesus, going back to the Kurt Hennings and Bret Hart's and obviously Shawn. And I mean, just through the years, when you really look at certain, not just styles and nuances, but really the emotional connectivity that Kevin Dunn, Pat Patterson probably worked together as much or more from a real emotional engagement, what we're selling here. And I'm saying TV, Pat and TV, and hey, we need this shot, and this timing. And it was a real, at one time, they just really created such a unique product. And I think Bryan has that skill set to, I'm not talking about interviews and anything outside. I'm talking about bell to bell stuff. What's the story we want to tell? Because he can tell stories, and with any opponent. I mean, that match we had in Winston-Salem, there was a very simple story, but his concept of how to get the match over and both opponents over is something that Lawler taught me. And, that generation of guys had to think through that in the weekly or monthly mindset and their in the territories, because you were in a territory and you had to think returns and come back and the nuances and, okay, this talent's getting beat, but he's going to go work with this opponent. You got to play chess and really think 2 and 3 moves down the field, or 2 and 3 weeks, or 2 or 3 premium live events down the field. Bryan has that kind of know-how. If he knows where the booker, the head of creative, or whoever it may be, if he knows where they need to get, give him the reins and let him get you there.
I love the analogy of saying Bryan Danielson as AEW's Pat Patterson. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It also makes sense that you need to look into Brunt Workwear.
Oh, boy.
Jeff and I are big believers in this brand, and we just love their story. The founder of this thing, he knew a lot of guys who were on the job sites in his real life. He named all the products after his friends and family who use these products. They actually might be the most comfortable work boots on the planet. They also deliver real performance on the job. Whether you're looking for waterproof or safety toe or soft shoe or pull on or lace up, man, Brunton has you covered. And they're so confident that these boots will blow you away to even let you try it on the job site risk-free. Who lets you do that? For a limited time, our listeners can get $10 off at Brunt with the code MyWorld at checkout. Just head on over to bruntworkwear.com/MyWorld. Use the code MyWorld, and man, you're all set. Now, after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask how you heard about Brunt, please tell them that it's from our show. But as a reminder, choosing work boots usually means you're going to have to sacrifice comfort or durability. If they feel good, well, they're not going to last. And if they last, they're going to wreck your feet. Brunt has figured it out. They've ended that trade-off. They've designed boots to withstand the toughest job sites, but you're still going to feel as comfortable as you would in your favorite sneakers. And that's why I like the founder, Eric, man. He grew up like Jeff and I, blue-collar folks, and now he's put his money where his mouth is. This is a fantastic brand. I'm a big believer in these boots. I've actually hooked up some people in my real life. My cousins, Derek and Clint, they're on job sites 6 days a week. Them and all their crew are rocking the Brunt boots now because they're comfortable right out of the box. And most other boots require some sort of break-in period. You're familiar with that. It results in you being uncomfortable or having blisters on your feet, not with Brunt. And by the way, Brunt isn't just about work boots. They've got all your high-performance gear for those tough jobs. What about some heavy-duty work pants or some weather-resistant jackets? They can hook you up. Brunt didn't just make a durable work boot. They reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. As we mentioned, for a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when they use the code MyWorld at checkout. Just head on over to bruntworkwear.com/myworld and use the code MyWorld, and you're all set. Now, after you purchase, they're going to ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. So, Jeff, we're coming off a big TNA weekend. I don't know that you had a chance to check it out, but they had a pretty big crowd at their pay-per-view in Los Angeles, California. I think it was the Galen Center. TNA Rebellion 2025. We saw Moose get a win over El Hijo de Vikingo and KC Navarro and Leon Slater and Matt Cardona and Sidney Akeem. And that was the Ultimate X match. Then we saw the TNA Knockouts and a World Tag Team Title 4-way match. We saw a 6-man tag that even had some interference from Sean Waltman. Shout out to him, friend of the show, and Brian Myers. We love us some Brian Myers. The international match had your boy, Eric Young, challenging Steve Macklin. Macklin's going to retain there. A Falls Count Anywhere match that people absolutely loved. And Jeff, the fans over at Cage Match, on a scale of 1 to 10, they gave this match with Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali 9.13. That's higher than any WrestleMania match. It's the highest rating I've seen in a long, long time. So go out of your way to see Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali. We saw Slamovich and Tessa Blanchard up next. Somehow, some way, the Nemeth brothers are now the tag champs. They pulled off the upset, beating the Hardys. That's right. The former Dolph Ziggler and his brother, Nick and Ryan, they're now the TNA World Tag Team Champions. And somehow, some way, Joe Hendry pulled it out. He's victorious in a 3-way dance over Ethan Page and Frankie Kazarian. Trick Williams interferes after the fact. So Vikingo, Ethan Page, Trick Williams. We're certainly seeing some WWE influence inside of TNA. But there were some surprises in there. I didn't think going into this that Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali would steal the show. They exceeded all expectations. Shout out to them. And I was kind of surprised the Hardys didn't pick up a win over Nick and Ryan. What'd you think? And did you get a chance to see this pay-per-view? And how has TNA quietly become one of the hotter brands right now?
The brand is hot. No, I didn't get a chance to see it. You kind of know my weekend a little bit, but it's super busy. But I got texts, Connie. My first text came, 2 of them, Saturday when I was out cruising on the water, and like, hey, tickets have sold very, very well. How about that? What do you, it was a general guy. It was actually someone in the media, if you will. And I was, when wrestling is done well on any level, I don't care who it is, it's good for the industry. How about the Nemeth brothers being tag champs? Obviously, the Hardys are a hot ticket there right now. So put the heels over, Heat, and the Hardys chasing, in my opinion, is always bigger box office than Hardys retaining. I think that's the charismatic enigma and Matt. I just think that's in their DNA as guys chasing tag belts. So when you just kind of went down that, and I knew the house, and when you go through the different names, and obviously my history with the brand, and they're in LA and doing those kind of numbers. Good old wrestling business, Conrad. I'm seriously very happy for all of those guys that are involved, from Lynn Asper all the way down. Hats off.
It's interesting because they've really done a great job. Andrew Dice Clay actually made an observation I wanted to bring up to you because he tweeted out, and I know you and I both follow him. TNA is this weird thing in pro wrestling. They can be selling out buildings regularly and still nobody gives an F. Weirdest promotion there's ever been. If any other non WWE / AEW promotion drew a house like they did last night, it would be mega news. I hate to, but I want to be clear. I'm a fan of the TNA product. I think that they've got a lot of hardworking guys and gals over there, but I kind of agree. It's a head scratcher that their fan base loves it. They're selling tickets. They're having great critically acclaimed shows. They're entertaining shows. Why don't they get more attention or even coverage from the wrestling media? Like it feels like there's a lot of WWE coverage and there's a lot of AEW coverage. And sometimes it feels like there's more New Japan coverage than there is even TNA coverage. I can't wrap my head around that. Why do you think that is in 2025, Jeff?
In 2025? Well, I mean, when you go back, that's hard to even say. It started in 2002. So we're saying 23 years going. And I want to make sure I craft this in the right way, because times just change, Connie. I mean, we both have had, Jesus, not just on My World episodes, but offline, going back years. You know, we'll call it the TNA LOL, the branding of it. Look, we're 15 years since they dropped TNA, went with Impact, or TNA Presents Impact. Then it was Impact Wrestling, and then, you know, it went from weekly pay-per-views to Spike, to Destination America, to Pop, to Off TV. You know, we could everybody kind of knows their history, so to speak. But I almost want to throw you a question back, or just a thought, that the way, I guess you could say, the way brands are presented. And I went on the water with my brother-in-law, and we were talking about shoe deals. He's in that sporting goods business, and talking about a lot of the college kids, you know, they're doing shoe deals, this and that, and just a crazy amount of money. And they're, at the end of the day, they're brand ambassadors in so many levels. So I guess he's always got a unique way, and he articulates it sometimes. Me and you both chuckle, but he is dead on. And so it makes me, and I've pondered this question a couple of different ways, but if you had to tell me who is the face of the TNA brand right now, who is it?
Joe Hendry.
Okay. And how long has he been the face? No longer than a year, I'd say, maybe a year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
About a year.
About a year. That is very, very hard, you know, because when you look at the face of WWE brand, or the face of UFC, you kind of look at the faces of the NBA. I'll get wider, that the faces of, you know, in a lot of ways, Aaron Rodgers, in a wacky way, is still, he gets more headlines than just about anybody. Tom Brady retired. Now he's a commentator. I'm talking about the guys that really grab the attention in the headlines. LeBron, Luka in the NBA. You can go into hockey players. Obviously, in our business, you know, Triple H, Tony Khan, the faces of the brand. And then you go down to who is that world champion. But when you kind of look at the face of the brand of TNA, and I'm not talking about an on-screen commissioner. I'm talking about who is the people that.
Who's your top draw? Who's your top guy?
No, not top draw. Who do they know, like, and trust? To use your terms.
Oh yeah. Well, then I think that would be the Hardys.
Okay, we're talking talent. Is there the Dana White? Who's the Dana White of TNA?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because and no disrespect, we've gone into detail, but the TNA brand, Jeff was the face of the brand.
I got you.
And then it was Hulk, but then it was kind of Hulk and Eric, but then it was Dixie, and then it was Billy Corgan.
You mean the way Triple H puts himself on every WrestleMania to open the show? Like, I just saw him doing a little video where he showed Cody how to take a helmet off. It was riveting stuff.
No, he did not.
Yeah, man.
You're going to get me tickled again. You're going to get me tickled again.
Well, we'll talk about Triple H in a little while, but I think what's interesting to me is I never really considered that. But in ECW, we knew that we were pulling for Paul Heyman. In WCW, we knew we were pulling for Eric Bischoff. In WWF, we knew we were pulling for Vince McMahon. And we don't really know who that is. I mean, I would think it's Tommy Dreamer, but I don't really know that. They've not really said that.
It's Lynn Asper. Lynn Asper got out the checkbook, period.
I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying, you know, in the end, like it wasn't Dana's money they were building with, you know, it was the Fertittas, but he was he's the guy running point. He's the, for lack of a better phrase, he was the GM.
Yes.
Yeah. So who is the GM? I get what you're saying, because listen, when Scott D'Amore left last year, my phone blew up with people who were wanting to know, hey, who's the boss? And even with some mutual friends of ours were like, hey, can you get me in touch with who runs Impact? And I'm like, I don't really know. I mean,
and look,
but I don't know.
Well, and that's where I'm saying it's fascinating. And again, we have talked multiple times. I'm so damn happy, not only that they're just in business, but they've kind of, they weathered another storm, if you will. And so there is a Teflon stickiness to the brand, no doubt. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind there. That goes a long way. They've been in business 23 years. That says a lot, period. But when you kind of get into that, the GM, that's probably said better, and you don't have that, I think, okay, so why are they not, back to Ian's post, why is that uniqueness? And look, the old school TNA fans, oh shit, it'll never be as good when it was on Spike. And then you have another group of fans and another group of fans. Anyway, it's I love Ian. It's a good thought-provoking deal, but I think when you look at the top stars as well, so we don't have a GM in top stars. Do you really associate the Hardys with TNA? I don't. Do you really associate? We could go through a couple there, and I guess you could say Joe, but you know, at the end of the day, and it's just kind of how U.S. fans are. Joe's not from America. So does that hurt him? I'm not going to say it hurts him, but again, going back to the face of the brand.
Well, it's interesting because I think they've done a phenomenal job this year. Actually, last year too. Shout out for no particular reason to Raphael Morphy. I know he's been helping them once upon a time behind the scenes. You think Raphael might be one of the hotter free agents in the space right now?
No doubt. I mean,
why does nobody talk about that, do you think?
Well,
like his name's not talked about on any of the wrestling media, and I don't understand that.
Because at the end of the day, I truly think this. A wrestling fan, a wrestler, a journalist, the real nuts and bolts on how to make money in this business, people could care less. But I guarantee you, a guy like Jim Crockett Sr., Vince McMahon Sr., Jarrett, which we could go down a list of promoters that not only love Black Ink, it's how they operated. That Black Ink is the only thing that we're truly going to dial into. And if there's some red ink, if we got some losses here and there, I better have a plan on why that happened. I better have a solution on why it's not going to happen again. And just all that kind of stuff. And Raphael, I don't want to age him, but man, he's been in the business 20 plus years.
Did it with WWE, did it with TNA, did it with AEW. It just feels like
but in his DNA is like me and you talk, expectations, assumptions, projections, what is our goal here? Like, what are our priorities? Raph thinks candidly like me and you. And
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey man, how are we going to make some money out of this? And that's people, journalists don't give two shits about that. Honestly,
I learned more sitting with Raphael Morphy, like an hour here and there, than I did in a lot of other conversations I've had in wrestling, just about moving tickets and promotion. And anyway, just want to give him a shout out. Really happy to see all the success and the momentum that he built for TNA. And He's available now. Who'd have thought? Hey, I also wanted to mention, I'm sure you saw a few years ago, or I guess it was several years ago now, they did all the Hardy compound stuff back in the day with Jeremy Borash. I'm sure you remember. And it was the broken mat and all that stuff. Well, do you remember the skit where they had Joe Frazier, I think that was the name of the kangaroo, trying to box Matt Hardy?
Don't hold me to it. But
there was an idea where the Matt Hardy character was involved with a kangaroo.
Okay.
And I've got a candid here. I don't know that this was supposed to be released, but I think this might be from the Hardy compound. You've been there. I've never been there.
Okay.
I think they're going with Jeff Hardy might actually be a deer now. Let's take a look.
What the hell did I just watch?
I just thought, as a country boy from Tennessee, you had to see a full-blown buck with a rack just diving off a second store balcony.
Can you play that again?
Yeah, I don't think we should play the audio, but we should definitely play the video again. We can figure out how to do that.
And maybe stop frame if possible, Dave. What?
I know you've grown up in the lake. You've grown up in Tennessee your whole life. You've grown up. There's deer in your yard all the time. I know it. There's deer here.
About 20 this morning. Yes.
But have you ever seen one climb to the top and just dive off Jeff Hardy swanton
I've
style?
seen one walk up to my back of my fence over there and just kind of look up, and it's probably 5 or 6 feet, but he's right up on it, and he just boing,
just jump right over. Look at this.
What the hell?
The deer just jumps off of the. He has no idea what's on the other side of that guardrail.
Any context? Where's this deer coming from? Come on.
I think he's from CMLL, and he's a talented player.
Oh, there he is. He's coming on. Oh, he
gets a running start and just leaps over the fence, and down goes Frazier.
He got scared. Okay. I thought he jumped off the roof.
For the purposes of my story, can we just go with that's Jeff Hardy hitting a swanton?
I'll take it. I don't know. Did I show you the latest? I think I sent you the latest Cody text over the weekend that is another Jeff Hardy. Did you get that?
I may have missed that.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Hey, here's what I didn't miss. I don't know that you saw this, but since we've been recording, there's been an announcement made. AEW has sold out Arena Mexico.
Yeah.
Completely sold out. No tickets available. This is going to be happening in June. And as soon as I heard there was a rumor of this show, I candidly told you, I'm going to find a way to get to that show. I've only been to Arena Mexico one time, but it feels like a big doggone deal. I was happy to see that Ring of Honor is going to be doing a show later this year in the old ECW arena, the 2300 arena at the corner of Swanson and Rittner in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One of the more iconic buildings here in America. But when it comes to Mexico, there's no building more legendary than Arena Mexico, right, Jeff? I mean, that's their Madison Square Garden.
Oh, no doubt. It is. And it's a tourist attraction, Conrad. People come from, I was in Atlanta airport, beginning of this year, and going through the international terminal, as you go down, there's a guy who said, "Hey man, Jeff Jarrett." We had a little conversation, and he's like, "Yeah, we used to come. I was at the Skydome show." He's from Toronto, so that's all this. And he said, "Yeah," he said, "I just got to tell you," because his wife was sitting there, and she said, "Tell him." I said, "All right, what is it?" He said, "Well, we just spent 7 days in Mexico City." And I said, "Oh, that's cool." No, 7 days in Mexico. And I said, "Cancun, where, Puerto Vallarta, where'd you guys go?" "Well, we kind of traveled around and saw a couple of different places, but we stayed 3 days in Mexico City." And yep. She looked at me, the wife, and I'm just chuckling. I said, "You went to Arena Mexico?" He said, "I had to." But anyway, they book tour shows. I mean, I can't even put it into words because culturally, nothing exists in the U.S., I don't think, like Arena Mexico. They hold wrestling shows in there twice a week. Is that right? Yeah, Tuesdays and Fridays. But anyway, it's the Mecca. It's in a lot of ways, it's Madison Square Garden. I can't even give it the best analogy, but it is the place, and nothing exists like it in the world, period. It doesn't. And, the family's owned it for years and years, and they own arenas. Puebla, Guadalajara and I think Mexico City, but the Paco, who my father was a peer with, and they worked together, and it goes back generations. And yeah, it's super cool. I mean, the AEW brand, as it's grown, and we did our Fox Sports deal with those guys, it just shit, Conrad. I feel like I'm on repeat sometimes on this podcast. The wrestling business, it just continues to grow. Yes, it's going to be like the stock market. You're going to see a correction every now and then, but the long-term gains of the wrestling industry are much like the Dow Jones. It is an upward trajectory. And yes, you're going to have dips, but you just kind of look at where things are going. I mean, all the news that has come out just in the last 36 months, Conrad, the business continues to evolve. We talked about the teaser, Hulk and Eric. That is obviously wrestling related. Here's another layer. So yeah, Arena Mexico sold out. It does not surprise me at all. In that the industry alone is not wanting to be in pop culture. It is pop culture.
Well, you and I are big nostalgia fans, and we're going to be talking about some nostalgia stuff. But before we do, let's talk about our favorite nostalgia cereal. I'm talking about Magic Spoon.
Yeah, buddy.
If you listen to this program, you know how much we love our cereal. We've talked about it for a long time. We used to plop down and watch our Saturday morning wrestling with a big bowl of cereal. But then we grow up and realize I don't need all the sugar. I need more protein. Magic Spoon can hook you up with that. But they've also got these high protein treats I've been bragging about. You know, the ones that are crispy, crunchy, airy, and taste just like the ones Mom used to make, except without all the sugar. You see, these are 12 grams of protein on the go, and they come in classic flavors like marshmallow, and those taste identical to the ones Mom made. Chocolatey peanut butter, dark chocolate, but my go-to is double chocolate, and I double dog dare you to try it. But I also want to mention that Magic Spoon has just launched brand new high-protein granola. And true to the Magic Spoon promise, it's packed with protein and so crunchy. Magic Spoon's brand new granola packs in 13 grams of protein, but 0 added sugars, and also in delicious flavors like dark chocolate almond, even honey almond, and how about peanut butter? So get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/myworld, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/myworld for $5 off.
Yeah, buddy.
Spoon's the real deal, man. What'd you think of the granola? You've said you like that first thing in the morning?
Yep, but I'm gonna go peanut butter. It's still my go-to. I've gravitated back toward that, and it is a household favorite. Cody's on it, Karen's on it, Kira. They all grabbed their free boxes of Magic Spoon. Promo code MyWorld.
You're gonna love it. Hey, I wanted to mention some big sports news because we had a ton of big sports news over the weekend. The entire country was talking about the NFL draft.
Oh.
And specifically, people were wanting to know who's going first, who's going second, who's going where. And of course, there was some controversy with the with who didn't get drafted, maybe the way we thought. But we'll start right at the top. Your lowly, woe is me Titans.
Yeah,
picked up a hell of a quarterback. Are you happy?
I'm a tried and true Titan fans. I'll stick with them, but everybody in Titan land, so I don't want to spoil the party, is super excited. Cam Ward, #1 draft choice, But rookie quarterbacks, it has there been a super successful one. At the end of the day, if we don't have an O-line, that's where I'm kind of being negative, Nancy, here. But yes, I'm optimistic. Every report as far as you're hearing, I mean, from the inside of the Titans camp is that Cam is the real deal and his head on is straight and he wants to learn. And, you know, he's going to develop. Time takes time. But with our new stadium coming, Conrad, and everything that kind of goes with that, that's the buzz around town. And, man, when you drive through 65, Conrad, and you see, you know, the current Titan Stadium and the new one going up right next to it, it's going to be domed and all the stuff that goes with it, and the buzz and the high rises and the cranes downtown. And, you know, Nashville is not anywhere close to the same city it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10 or 15 years ago. So he's going to have the weight of the world on his shoulders. To me, the whole Titans franchise, they better turn it around. I'll just say that you can feel the fan base extremely skeptical, if you will, that, hey, man, we've had some rough years. It's about time we start seeing some daylight. So they're my team, and I'll pull through them through any set of circumstances, but I'm hoping for the best. We'll see, Connie.
The other big news that is a little bit wrestling related is that the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up to the number 2 spot, and they picked up one of the more dynamic players coming out of college this year. Mr. Travis Hunter calls himself a Jacksonville Jaguar, and the Jags posted video of Travis flying in and arriving at their home stadium. We got to see our man Tony Khan shaking hands with Travis Hunter over the weekend. He's in Jacksonville now. What do you think of Tony's latest acquisition, Travis Hunter?
High risk, high reward. And I'm not anywhere close to, me and you just like to talk about it, but they leveraged a lot. But I love the strategy. And Shad did not become a billionaire by not taking some strategic chances. And so, you talk again in those NFL circles and different folks. Look, they're not just saying he's a generational talent. They've got all these kind of stats and analytics and this and that. And I mean, this morning in the gym, that was kind of the buzz on, is he going to play offense? Is he going to play defense? They're going to let him play both ways. I'm curious to see how Jacksonville handles him. That tweet you sent me on the Jaguars coach, they've all got their work cut out, but they got the QB, and that's, in some circles say, oh, that's debatable. I do. I think the QB there. So they're putting the piece of the puzzle. Man, I hope they do great. I really do. A lot of excitement. The kid is, what a bundle of energy. Have you seen much of his, I guess you could just say, his charisma in his interviews, Conrad?
No, I love him. I think it was a home run. I was a little bit skeptical when I heard what all they gave up. I was like, I don't know. And then I saw who they got. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, man, he's going to sell some jerseys. He's going to have a lot of value to that franchise. So
yeah,
shout out to the Khan family. It's a major move. The Sanders story.
Oh, God.
You're a sports junkie. Is there a wrestling equivalent to this, Jeff? I mean, I don't remember ever seeing anything like this in the history of the draft.
So let me ask you, Conrad, has the NFL, I don't even see of any sports league, even a close second. They have turned picking 7 rounds of college kids that, for the most part, are not really going to make any effect on this upcoming year. It's just kind of how their business works. Now, there's going to be some, and then when they do affect, it'll be 2 or 3 years down the line. So it's a developmental. So anyway, but the numbers and the ratings, and Conrad, all the hype, and Cody was dialed into it because there was talk that Shador could go to Pittsburgh. And that got Cody dialed in. And if Cody was dialed in, he had to bring his mom in. So he's telling Karen about it. Karen, Conrad, watched all of Thursday.
Wow.
All of Friday.
Wow.
And I'm not kidding you, all of Saturday until we went out on the water. And she's just like, she asked me on Thursday 15 different questions. Like, what is all, she had never watched it, didn't understand it. So the Shador story, because of the father-son and the human interest side of it. And, Cody was giving her backstory and obviously throwing the Steelers out there. And then Karen was asking me, and I'm just like, okay, at the end of the day, I think Dion is certainly in the conversation. Look, if we don't get too old school and throw a Jim Thorpe in there, but in the modern era, one of the top 5 greatest athletes of all time, not in sport, of all time. I mean, he was unbelievable. And he turned things around at Colorado. So all kind of hype and prime time and all that. But man, when you say wrestling equivalent, I immediately kind of went to the father-son thing, and I'm being the son of a promoter. And look, I am so glad my old man, our personal relationship was damaged for years and years and years, but we got to turn that around. But the professional wrestling stuff, just how he made sure he made it as hard as possible. But you look at other promoters, kids, and relationships and everything that goes with it. Man, Dion put a lot of pressure on his son and on the teams and the interviews that he did, and said, look, there's some teams I'm not going to let my kid play for. And look, Travis and Shador are going to be top 5. So he lumped his son in with that. Just all of it, Conrad. And I get it. But the kid is 21, 22 years old and making all that kind of NIL money, driving around in a Bentley. The son of Dion is hard enough, but to get into college and have all this kind of stuff, man, he stacked the deck against his own son. And I always ask myself as I watched it the 3 days, what if Dion realizes the kind of pressure, or does he care? Because at the end of the day, in a lot of ways, it was set up for failure, because unless he would have gone in the top 10, everything else was headlines. Shador Sanders slides massively. Was Dion the cause? Shador slides Sands. Was it because of his interviews? They just kind of went on and on. I mean, they went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and rabbit hole. But Conrad, in a crazy kind of way, the prank call that happened is Shador's saving grace, because it positions him as a very sympathetic kid, that kind of what we're talking about. But to your question, Conrad, you know who came to my mind? Who's the comparable? Basically a can't miss prospect that just, by all accounts, has no belief sliding to the 144th pick in the 5th round. I think Gable Stevenson is the #1 draft choice on every board, on every metric, on every process that you could think of, a guy that's going to go into our business and that is a can't miss. And we all kind of know the result of that not only did he not last, I mean, it was kind of in record time, and a few different things that he did appear on, he laid an egg. So the business it wasn't for him, but it makes you appreciate the Steiners of the world, the Kurt Angles of the world, the amateur wrestlers that really clicked in this business. But I think Shador and Gable is a pretty good analogy as far as draft day. Now, I wish Shador all the luck in the world. I hope he gets to Cleveland and does great in the quarterback room. And I hate to say it, but I do. But, Dion, cheer your son on from afar. Let him stand on his own 2 feet. That ain't going to happen, because I think he's already said he's going to the first QB meeting. So I'm sure Flacco and the Browns and Mr. Haslam and all that ownership, what a circus it's going to be. But it will sell tickets.
I do want to follow up more on the wrestling equivalent of that, but you mentioned Gable Stevenson. We haven't talked about him in a while. I want to circle back to him, though. What do you think he does next? Like, we know that, he had all the success in the world, won the gold medal, went to WWE, tried his hand there for whatever reason. Pro wrestling and him just didn't seem like it was the best fit. He went back to college. Wyatt Hendrickson beat him in the NCAA finals, I guess several weeks ago now, but it did feel like that presentation was bigger than ever. I mean, it had a big fight feel. The freaking president was there. It was on live TV. I mean, it was a sold out, packed place. What do you think's next for Gable? I've never really thought about that until you said, hey, it didn't really work out for him in pro wrestling, but where does he go from here? If he's not going to, is the only option the UFC? Is that the only logical choice at this point? Get a real job? What go coach in college, maybe?
Conrad, a guy that kind of, and what was it? I mean, you won't know it, but his record is crazy, dude. I mean, that's why he was such a can't miss. And so the skill set is the accolades and the skill set and the charisma.
103-3.
Good God Almighty.
His Big Ten record is 36-0. His dual record is 59-0. 4-time Big Ten champion, 4-time All-American, 2-time Danny Hodge Trophy win, 2-time most outstanding wrestler of the Big Ten, 2-time NCAA national champion, 103-3.
Bare knuckles champion. You want to say it like
well, but that wouldn't translate, right? Like, if you could go be bare knuckles champ, then you just go straight to the like if you could wrestle and box, you just go straight to the UFC, wouldn't you?
What I'm saying is some kind of fight game.
It's got to be.
Shit. The dude can handle himself. Let's just say that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
On a completely different level. You know, and I don't know enough about the Olympic kind of that whole world, but getting paid in just because, look, if college kids are getting paid now, and that Cooper flag and NCAA basketball, I know you're not the craziest basketball junkie, but there's a couple of things I follow on Instagram. How much money is allotted for a college team, even some mid majors? Conrad, these boys are getting paid. I mean, paid.
Well, what do you make of that new legislation that could potentially say, hey, why are you arbitrarily giving these guys 5 years? As long as they stay in school, technically they're a student, they could continue. In theory, guys could just go to school forever and keep playing in college. Like, I don't think that'll happen, but I also never thought what's happening right now would be happening right now, right?
Because it's a business and it's driven by money and all that. I was talking to, I better not say his name, he'd probably prefer, but a former pro football player that performed in the college. I mean, he plays 5 years at pro, so he can play. High level in college, really good, like ass kicking in college. We had a conversation and it was we were doing the same body part. So we had a kind of running conversation and I brought up, I'm like, these guys that are 18 years, 19, 20 years old, and this Nico, the people don't follow with the UT story, is basically, it turned out bad for him. He listened to some bad advice, period. He listened to some bad advice. And he was due about $2 million from UT, and now he went to UCLA and he's going to get, I think, 1.5, and then you're going to get taxed. Unlike the state of Tennessee, you're going to get, it's going to get money cut in half. But why not? When you have all this money, and let's let the CAA, the WME, the agents of the world that really know how to guide guys' careers, let's let them get involved now and guide it and regulate it, because if you're going to have a 25, right now, my daughter Jarrett, she plays, basketball, and the way things are done, it affects every level. She's at the D3 level, but it affects literally every level. So it's going to be really interesting to how college sports evolve, because at the end of the day, a D2 is a feeder to a D1 if you're talking from a freshman perspective. Anyway, the game is continuing to change. It's fascinating to see where it's going to go.
I don't know that you saw, but whoever runs KFC Social responded the other day to Shedeur Sanders, where he was finally drafted, and he wrote, "Thank you, God." KFC replied and said, "The Colonel was rejected 1,009 times before finally landing our famous original recipe. Sometimes all the Sanders needs is a little time to cook." Congrats, Shedeur.
I love it. That's on top of their social media game.
I love it.
KFC.
Man, how did you find a way to insert yourself into the conversation? Let me ask you something, Jeff. You've known a lot of guys who had gimmicks that they would keep up with outside of the ring. Famously, The Undertaker would often wear black when he was in public. I think when Kane was traveling through the WWE years, a lot of times, at least back in the day, he'd wear the mask in public. I know that there were some famous luchadors who did that too. But I don't know if you saw an AEW star catching a Knicks game over the weekend. Did you see this?
Here we go, Connie. I told you my weekend, I was a little disconnected.
I think this flew under the radar, but if you'll take a look here in the crowd, that's Luchasaurus in full gimmick at the Knicks game. I don't know why this tickled me, but it did.
I like it.
Have you, do you remember a circumstance like this in your wrestling life before, where you're at a football game and you look over and, oh, there's the Road Warriors in their full paint? I mean, I love it, first of all. I mean, you want to talk about being a star and drawing attention to yourself. I know that some people are going to clown on this. Take a look at any red carpet for any Hollywood event. People are courting attention with what they wear. So he's done that fabulously here. But it does make me laugh. Like anytime when I see like old Mexican, Spanish movies or what have you, and I see the Blue Demon in a suit, but also a hood. It makes me laugh. What'd you think of this?
I love it. It immediately took me back to the Double J character, and I was told under no uncertain terms from Vince, you're going to travel as Double J.
I love it.
Correct? Yes, sir. And, in my mind, back in those days, Conrad, running shoes, Zubaz, light T-shirt. That was kind of but nope, those days were gone. So I was wearing jeans and cowboy boots and a shirt and a vest and all that. That was back when it's just different. I mean, Warrior and Hogan, and then you had DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. I mean, Vince believed in when guys went on the road, when they're seen in public. And I think there's a lot of value in that. If I'm going to get on a soapbox, that's where, I've had conversation with guys about X and Instagram. And I'm like, what do you really want out of social media? And they can't answer that question. And then I'm like, okay, is one of your priorities to further your career? Oh God, yeah. I said, would you put that in the top 5? Oh God, yeah. I said, okay, top 3. Oh yeah. Okay. Give me the other 2 out of the top 3. Why are you on social media? Like posting? Well, I don't know. Well, okay. So I kind of think you haven't really come, and I'm giving a synopsis here. I kind of think it's at least in top 3. So if that's your mindset on social media, that's what the whole world sees. A lot more than you going to Waffle House or going to First Watch and eating breakfast or Cracker Barrel, whatever. They don't see you in your day-to-day life. The world sees you through social media. Yeah. Okay. So when you're on there bitching and crying and moaning and this and that about anything, about your family situation, girlfriend situation, a rotten flight that you had that Delta or American Airlines screwed you over, or whatever it is, when they see that about 5-1 more than a wrestling promo about your character, and you're asking me why your social media doesn't really get any movement, I think you're answering your own question. So I'm not saying you got to live the gimmick, and I know, that's too old school thinking in that, but that's why I think a Luchasaurus wearing this in public, like, what is the downside? There's a ton of upside. And the fact that on our little old podcast, we're talking about it, but it's how the world works. That clip will be seen a hell of a lot more than if Luchasaurus was just kind of walking through, whatever. But he's a Knicks. He always wears his ball jerseys around too. So shout out Luchasaurus. Great job.
Let's talk about something that the entire internet was talking about last week. We're going to be talking about The Rock. Now, last week, we were live and you were incredulous with The Rock's comments on Pat McAfee. Go ahead, Jeff.
What I was just going to say is, are we talking about Gail Kim today?
Would you like to? Shout out to Bart from the Meat Mart. He thinks
that's the joke that you did on me. I've prepared for the show 3 times in a row, and Silva keeps. We won't get into it, so I don't want to put it on Bart. I don't want to put it on you. I'll put it on Silva, but it's a running joke.
Well, I don't mean for it to be.
I know
it keeps popping off. It is what it is.
All right, go Rock. You're going to get me tickled because look, Conrad. At the end of the day, I mean, Toronto was on its ass, and they needed help. And out of the goodness of his heart, The Rock sent that son of a bitch into sold out, hanging from the rafters. Right? Isn't that the story?
I mean, he created the greatest wrestling angle of all time, Jeff.
You're going to get me tickled.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
No, he did not.
Yeah. Last week.
Is this the follow-up?
No, on Pat McAfee's show. He said that he texted Cody and John Cena, guys, we just pulled off the greatest wrestling angle of all time. Anyway, the next day, as you may imagine, Dave LaGreca had a freaking meltdown. Big Cody Rhodes fan. Not necessarily a big Rock fan.
Oh.
He made that clear last year when The Rock tried to insert himself into Cody's story. He melted down and became a part of the packages that WWE even showed. Well, I can't believe this is real, but The Rock responded to Dave LaGreca. And the response, I think, will tickle you more than what Dave was even reacting to. Of course, Dave was reacting to the explanation that Rock gave on Pat McAfee as to why he wasn't at WrestleMania. And LaGreca melted down. And I loved it. Shout out to Dave and his great work on Busted Open. They're on his chair right now. Nope. We've got a quote, though, of a tweet. I can't believe this is real, but The Rock actually wrote on social media, "Hi, Dave. The business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody, Cena, Bryan, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show. P.S. Tell Bubba I have Grand Marnier and hush puppies for all of us." So I appreciate he's giving a shout out there to Bubba. But let's just break this down. In the history of ever, have you ever heard of a top star going out and saying, "The business is a complete work, always has been, always will be, every aspect of it, every match, every interview"? Let's just pause right there before we take any more steps. Everything you see is bullshit, guys. I can't believe you're getting emotionally invested in this bullshit. Don't you know I'm not really an Avenger? I've never flown. I just stand my goofy ass in front of this green screen and go like this. And then they pretend I'm fucking flying. Don't you see? You fucking idiot. Can you believe that you're this invested in the things I'm selling you? I know I make money on the things I sell you, but your dumb ass buys it. You fucking idiot. Why are you giving me your money and buying and believing what I'm doing? How dare you believe the things I say that make you want to give me money? You fucking idiot. Calm down. Stupid. Why are you so invested in what we're doing? Why do you care so much about our products? Will you fuck off and quit talking about our products and spending so much time? Go outside and cut the grass. Go do what I do. Go make movies. Why aren't you in Hollywood, LaGreca? Why aren't you just shooting your latest fucking Hollywood film? You mean to tell me on your pro wrestling radio show, you have the fucking audacity to talk about the wrestling content that I create? Why are you talking about the things that I do? Which is a big part of what we do, but why are you doing it? Why are you doing exactly what I need you to do, you fucking idiot? Your turn, Jeff. How did you perceive that?
Oh, I can't follow that. First of all, my gosh.
Let's just keep going. Please join me, comma, Cody, comma, Cena, comma, Bryan, and the rest of us.
The rest of us
for our creative discussion so you can expand your perspective. Now, I'm just thinking to myself, if I was to put a gun to your head, Jeff, and I said, "Hey, we're having discussions about WWE creative. If you don't mind, Jeff, could you just name some of the people that might be responsible for creative in WWE?" We'll just start at the top. Just when you think about creative in WWE, I know Rock comes to mind first, obviously. And then I think about Cody, not as a top star, but creatively.
I don't.
Him second. What? Well, I know you think about John Cena.
No.
When I think about WWE creative, I always know it's Rock, it's Cody, and John Cena. And then some fella named Bryan. I don't know his last name, but I could guess.
Who is Bryan?
Gewirtz, as my friends would say. And the rest of us.
Huh.
Does anybody else in WWE even do creative that you're aware of?
Oh, there's a huge writer's room, Connie. I know you hadn't been there.
Well, hang on. Rock's in it, right? And Cody's in it. Let's go around the room for all WWE creative sessions. Because I know they meet on the weekends sometimes because Monday night is kind of a big deal. It's a live television show.
We got to. That Raw crew definitely works weekends.
So let's just take a peek inside the room, okay?
It's all for really Wednesday.
Close your eyes, Jeff. Just picture this, all right?
Yeah, here we go.
We're going to look in the writer's room because we saw a clip of this on Netflix. And from best I remember, left to right, it was Rock, then Cody, and then Cena.
Yep.
And then Brock. Was there anybody else even in the room?
Conrad, how can those guys be at two places at once?
Who even would be the rest of us? What does that mean?
So they have writers and assistant writers.
Well, Mick Foley's son's not there anymore.
Nope. Dewey's out. Dewey.
Oh, they must mean Abyss.
Nope. He is called a producer, not an agent.
All right, it's Hurricane.
Nope. He's a producer as well.
Natty's husband.
Nope. You're off. Not
fucking Bobby Roode. There it is. I got it.
Nope. Not Bobby Roode either.
Nick Aldis. We all know, friend of the show. It's Nick Aldis.
Right up the road. It ain't Nick Aldis. He is an on-screen character. And you know what? It isn't Petey Williams. He's not in the corner. No, it's not Petey doing Canadian.
It's fucking Fit Finley. That's who they're talking about. The rest of us. It's Fit Finley.
I'll be damned.
It's Regal. Are we missing anybody? For the life of me, I can't think of anybody else even involved in creative.
Stephanie's no longer in creative. Like
That's
that,
right.
That was years ago. So
she's jet setting for these podcasts. Yeah.
Damn.
Is anybody not mentioned? Should we take anything away?
Well, let's dig down on this layers of stuff because the writer's room evolves and evolves and evolves and a lot of turnover that if you get on LinkedIn and put in WWE writer, I bet.
That's a good question. Who are the WWE writers? Let's see if I can just pull that up here.
Yep. I could name a
Jonathan Backstrom.
Smart.
John Swakata.
Oh, Swakata's another.
Oh no, hang on. It also this one's still less Vince McMahon, so I don't think that's right.
No. Vince is not in the writer's room. He wouldn't go dare. In the old building, it was the second floor. I know.
Hey, I mean, I don't know. I might just be way off base, but you remember my friend Bruce Pritchard? Does he still work there?
Do you?
What about Ed Koski? Do you think Ed Koski's still there?
I know Ed's still there. He's a good man as well. Smart man. The longevity of that dude in just his survival instincts. But I don't know his full name, but I don't think it's Rest or of.
Well, hang on. Help me understand. I just saw a guy showing Cody Rhodes how to put a helmet on and take it off, I mean. And then I
got to watch that video.
It was like a teaser of a writer's room. And there's this guy with a goatee saying, hey, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you inside the writer's room.
Are you leading me down the path that you're going to lead me to believe the rest of us is some of these names you're mentioning?
I'm just wondering, do you think at all? And again, I don't know, but I think the official title is Chief Content Officer. Now I'm just a hillbilly from Alabama, Jeff, but content, is that interchangeable with creative? Maybe. Am I off base in saying that Paul Beck, aka Triple H, aka Hunter, might actually be involved?
How does content come to fruition? You gotta create it, Connie. You know that.
Shit.
Do you know that?
I'm learning. I do mortgages. I'm just trying to learn, Jeff. I'm trying to sit under your learning tree.
It doesn't appear out of nowhere. It just doesn't. Content.
What do you make of when Triple H goes up? And by the way, I want to be clear. He did not mention The Rock in his 91-minute Hall of Fame speech. He mentioned the guy who does his dry cleaning, the guy who cuts his grass, the guy who watches his Bentleys, the guy who makes his protein shakes. All got a shout out. The Rock did not. Eric Bischoff got praise, got a shout out. The Rock did not.
You're kidding me. I didn't know that little tidbit.
Eric Bischoff got a shout out and The Rock doesn't. And so now people are wondering, And a friend of ours who may or may not be on this box over here pointed out to me, in years past, whenever they would be doing media for WrestleMania, they'd always put the main event out there. The champion, the challenger, whoever the top babyface or the top star was. So you might see a guy like Cody Rhodes, or you might see a guy like Roman Reigns on the Tonight Show. This year it was Triple H. And they've got this new reality show that he's, I guess, going to lead because it's about the writer's room. And well, they opened up WrestleMania, and I don't know. There's some people out there who are suggesting there may be more to this, including Vince Russo.
Oh,
who says, when you say please join Cody, Cena, Bryan, and the rest of us for our creative discussions, so you're telling me right there Triple H has no creative decisions. Thank you very much, Rock. But what I want to point out, people won't understand this. You will understand this, Coach. When you're in the business and your number is called and your time is up, you know it. You know it. It's no secret, Coach. You know it. You're planning for it. You're preparing. You know it. And what you just said there, Coach, is if what is happening is what we are saying, I got to tell you, it's a horrible spot for Triple H to be in. Russo and Coach, Russo specifically, has gone on to predict they don't think Triple H makes it another year, which to me is crazy talk. Like, WWE is succeeding on a level it's never succeeded on this high before. Like, they're setting new records every time they turn around. And over a personal issue, we're going to use a Southern phrase, throw the baby out with the bathwater. That makes no walking around sense. Like, I refuse to. I appreciate that them throwing shade at each other by not mentioning each other in their Hall of Fames or their interviews on Pat McAfee. Okay, whatever. But there's no way this results in either one of them leaving WWE, right, Jeff? That's just silly. That can't be.
Ever, 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 never, ever, ever, ever say never. Anything can happen. Conrad, look, I always try to broaden it out. You look at any sports team. Like, I'm a basketball junkie. Who in their right mind trades Luka off of Dallas? And I know there's a lot to that story, but nobody would have seen that coming. Oh, yeah, the insiders would have. Well, okay, maybe the insiders would, but maybe there's the insiders. But, man, Vinny Rude jumping out on a limb a year. But crazier things have happened, and they always have, and they always will. It's obvious, super obvious. And, look, things can turn on a dime. But Conrad, at the end of the day, the wrestling industry on any level, the promoter, and Vince did it for years, and we're going back to kind of not just the GM, but the guy really responsible that has to look at the bottom line. And now they're owned by private equity. And so those drive everything, and all decisions are made on that. The decisions are not best for all decisions are based off that. So crazier things have happened. You can just kind of definitely see a scenario. And look, is it safe to say, Conrad, that The Rock sits on top of all of it? I mean, he's the chairman of the board, correct?
Well, no, he's not. The Rock's not the chairman.
No,
he is on the board.
He's on the board, but Ari's the chairman, right? He's the chairman emerita or whatever.
So my understanding is it's Ari, and then Mark, and then Nick, and then Paul, and then maybe unofficially Bruce. But I think Bruce has to try to make Hunter happy with creative, and I think Hunter has to try to make Nick Khan happy, and I think Nick Khan has to try to make Shapiro happy, and I think Shapiro probably has to make Ari happy, and well, I think Ari has to probably make Rock happy.
Yeah, so that's
So I think there's a lot of interesting behind the scenes political stuff. I mean, even going back to last year, you saw Triple H cut a promo that I retweeted over the weekend and I sent to you, and you thought this has to be AI. This can't be real. Where Triple H is even doing the "it doesn't matter" and all that stuff. Now, of course, fans, when I retweeted it, said, "Oh, this is all a story. This is all an angle." Okay. Well, what was the payoff for it? It was 15 months ago. On camera, what was the on-screen blow off of Triple H and Rock? We didn't see it. Now, part of me wonders, get your tinfoil hats out, folks. Everyone right now is bought in completely that these guys really hate each other. And we've got a reality show coming out this summer about the writer's room.
And
Can't
also,
we just start doing 3D creative here and Rock and Triple H becomes the story that everybody really wants to see?
and they can break it off to that. So, Silva, will you put up the Rock post, tweet, all that, the first paragraph? Hi, Dave. The business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. All right, that's good. Conrad, remember I've told the story many, many times. Riding with my dad in the back seat. He's got Tojo driving or whoever driving. He's sitting on this. Go through any drive-through. Hey, okay, make the order. Get up to the. Hey, aren't you the wrestlers? Yeah. You always have either the lady working the drive-through or whoever it may be. Hey, y'all wrestle? Isn't all that fake? And man, my dad would not let that finished sentence and go, oh, hell yeah, every bit of it. Like it's phony blood, it's ketchup, those packets that you got in your hand right there, all the storylines, all the scripts. There's never been one thing ever in the history of professional wrestling that's been real. It's 100% fake. And without fail, the lady goes, now that's bullshit. I remember so-and-so, I was watching it and they did a bunch of phony stuff, but man, this guy hit him. Maybe it's by accident, but that got real and I saw it. And I'm telling you, that match ended up being the real deal. Oh, so you can't even tell people. So when Rock said all that, and then, that was his rant. And then all of a sudden you have the ticket sales and man, the tinfoil hat could go on and on, but LaGreca, and that's where Cody brought the LaGreca tweet, post, whatever to Karen. And Karen looked at me and I said, hell, Dave's working too. He's going on his rant to get clicks. And here we are on but it's created all kinds of discussion, all kinds of engagement. Now, time will tell where all this lands, but the whole world's talking about it and we'll see. But if they're looking for streams and they are at Netflix, maybe this is all a tailwind for that story. I don't know.
I, for one, want to believe this leads to a match. I think it could be interesting.
Rock Triple H.
Well, I think it's going to clearly be a tag match.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but they're the headliners.
Wouldn't that be something?
Hell, yes. I mean, it's all about, yeah, I mean, on whatever level. Yes.
I mean, I hope that's what it is because to me, I find that way more interesting. Like, wouldn't like the greatest twist of all for it to come out right now, all these years later, that the Montreal Screwjob was a work? I'm not suggesting it was, but I'm saying if evidence came forward that revealed that it was a work, we'd all be like, this is one of the greatest things that's ever been pulled off. And if they're trying to manufacture that right now, this could be amazing.
If this was in Memphis next week, or probably next week, if Lawler's booking, maybe 3 or 4 months if my dad was, it would be Rock and Cena versus Cody, Triple H.
That's exactly where my head went. And all I could think was, if they want to do a super show somewhere, you talk about star power, there it is. And Cody can run circles around them all and handle all the heavy lifting and make everybody look good. And it all works out.
You send Rock in on a press junket, it makes sure it sells the tickets, what needs to, that to me still is the greatest line ever. Got a call. I mean, it's classic.
It is classic. And here's the thing, like for years and years, there's been angles. Oh, they're trying to take over WCW. Oh, what are these guys? They're going to take over AEW, or, hey, they're fighting for control of WWE. There's a McMahon in every corner. And we've all heard that, all these different variations. But this might actually be the first time fans fucking believe it. Right?
Well, on some level, all you got to do is want to believe.
That's it. And we want to believe it. So,
and look, the whole Vince, Shane, all that compelling stuff through the years. I mean, we could go back in Memphis and because there's so many different examples, but I mean, on a very, very micro level, like people believe the Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler story. They wanted Lawler to kill him. But if you just thought for a second and thought that through now, wait a minute. this Hollywood stars, I mean, yeah, this is a business. What the heck? I mean, but all you got to do is create the emotional engagement, and you got to get people to want to believe it's there.
There's enough little seeds along the way now that they could immediately do that. So even if it wasn't the original plan, I hope it winds up that way, because it'd be
classic.
It would be so cool. Well, something else that's classic is growing your business with our friends at Envision Marketing Consultants. Listen, I've tried to grow my mortgage business through marketing for years and years. I did it with billboards. I did it with radio. I did it with television. But I was really curious, how do I get into quote unquote digital advertising? I didn't know what the hell SEO and SEM. I didn't know what any of that meant. But what I learned was, man, these radio stations and TV stations, they're quick to take your order. They're quick to take your money, but they don't really know what the hell they're doing either. You see, in order to be successful online, you've got to sort of understand the way the algorithms work. Now, the real challenge is, how can you be on top of your business and on top of algorithms? You can't do that. You need to call an expert, what I call phoning a friend. And I always say in my real life, hey, I got a guy. And my guy's Eric Nichols at Envision Marketing Consultants. I met Eric and my leads went up. My understanding of what I was buying went up. My overall understanding of the space went up, but my cost per lead went down. If your business is looking to do, or is already doing, SEO or pay-per-click or targeted display, maybe you're looking to have streaming ads on streaming video services like Hulu or YouTube or Amazon, go right now to conradsguy.com and let my buddy Eric take a look. No, I'm not involved, but I've loaned him my name because I've referred him often enough. conradsguy.com. I'm talking to you if you're a small business owner and you're in B2B or retail or food and beverage or manufacturing, or certainly even mortgages. I've put landscapers on this. I've put gutter guys. I've put roofers. I've put home remodeling guys. I've put window cleaners on here. Like, whatever business you're looking for, you need more leads to grow your business. Eric understands that. And if his team can't help your company, they'll tell you you're on the right track. Trust me, it's worth a little bit of time it'll take. If they can do half as good for you as they did for me, you'll see why I tell everyone I got a guy. Go right now to conradsguy.com, fill out a fast and easy form, and let Eric and his team get your digital marketing on track. That's conradsguy.com for Envision Marketing Consultants, where smart but simple marketing drives results. Hey, let's talk about a few more headlines here. We got some silly fun ones, and then I do want to hit two kind of serious ones. Maybe three.
Okay. Wow.
Logan Paul has made some headlines saying that he offered Stone Cold Steve Austin $1 million to come down to the ring wearing the Prime bottle. Now, we know Stone Cold turned it down, but I think this is genius. A, to even ask, first of all, shout out to him for having the sack to ask. But B, even when Stone Cold said no, he just told this story on his podcast and got just as much traction, almost as much traction as he would have had Steve actually worn the bottle, and he saved $1 million. So it's easy to see, if you're watching with us on YouTube at myworldpod.com, why Steve Austin would not want to wear this bottle to the ring. But dude, what a genius marketer Logan Paul is to even float this out there, right?
That's where the word that comes to my mind on so when I, not just Logan, but you kind of see the brother. Look, we could come up with the I guess you could say, Conrad, the influencer mindset or the influence business model. Once you create momentum and really get the snowball going, everything feeds off of everything. And that's where, once you get to another level, just the story, just what I don't want to regurgitate it, but just the fact of the story gets as much push through because the momentum is already there. So yeah, I chuckled when I went, and a lot of ways, Steve got a little character play. He told Logan Paul, "Go to hell. I ain't doing it." The almighty dollar, I'm not bowing to. But everybody won out of the scenario.
I want to pick your booking brain, and I want to ask about what's next for Cody Rhodes. In doing that, I also want to point out the power rankings that have come out. These were put out last week. I want to get your take on this. Of course, this is from Ariel Helwani and his new Yahoo Sports initiative. But they did a women's and men's power ranking. They show Charlotte Flair on the women's side falling 5 spaces down to 8, behind Jade Cargill, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, and Io Sky moving up 5 spaces. But over on the men's side, John Cena is on top. Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Braun Breaker, Will Ospreay, Roman Reigns, and Dominic Mysterio follow. And Ariel has Cody in at number 10, suggesting that in his power rankings, Cody is ranked number 10 in the wrestling space. This is after losing the WrestleMania main event to John Cena, of course. We didn't see him on Raw the next night. We didn't see him on SmackDown. I don't believe he's going to be on Raw tonight. I don't have any inside information, just a gut feeling. The narrative is out there that he's taking some well-deserved time off. I mean, he's done so much press and so much media. He's been their workhorse since he came back from the pec injury. So he deserves a little bit of a break. But the question is, what would you do with him when he comes back? We sort of freestyled last week that since Backlash was in St. Louis, it made sense for John Cena's opponent there for the title to be Randy Orton. That is the direction they're going. I don't imagine, since that pay-per-view is just a couple weeks away at this point, that Cody will have a spot there. Maybe he will. But if he's around for, say, the June pay-per-view, what makes sense for Cody's story next? If you were booking Cody Rhodes back in WWE, his return after losing the title at WrestleMania, what would make sense for you?
Let's go under a couple of assumptions, Connie, and I'm going to assume that they have not lost any confidence in Cody, because I don't believe there's any data, or again, I don't know, and it's all that really matters. At the end of the day, I don't know the political set of circumstances, if any, but that's why I'm kind of prefacing it, but you just don't know. That being said, Cena has stated, so is Cena going to carry it through December? I doubt it. Where do they want the most views or streams, if you will? I'm assuming SummerSlam. And so I would give Cody, so we got the May premium live event and the June premium live event, and then SummerSlam is July at MetLife. I'm talking out loud here. I think that's the kind of the cadence. I think you bring him back for the June and on TV, and he stakes his claim that I'm getting the title back, and you got to run one opponent in there that whoever makes sense, that we'll call him the beatable heel, that has some credibility. Cody wins that, and then he wins at SummerSlam, and we're off to the races. And you have a fourth quarter babyface run of Cena and count down the dates, and they keep counting down the cash register with all the merch, and he does his 10 to 12 week swan song on TV. But I think Cody, the wherever TKO wants the most streams, you put him in that event, and he is victorious.
I'm anxious to see what they do with Cody. I can't imagine that they're moving on from Cody. It feels like he's got to have that redemption arc in the comeback with John Cena.
With that being said, it's subjective, and we're just playing armchair quarterback. And I mean, you love to do that kind of stuff. So is there another kind of curveball in here that extends Cody out? Because again, Cody, a boatload of momentum. It's not going to hurt him to not be champion. Matter of fact, the longer he doesn't have it, I just don't know who they're going to put that place. The longer the chase for Cody, the better, is kind of what I'm saying. I just don't know the political nature, and I don't mean that in a bad, or a negative or positive way. I'm just saying kind of the political circumstances. They may want to put a rocket under somebody else to get them up and running, to get them into a story. Who knows? There's a lot goes on, but I don't foresee. Yeah, I'd have to look at that roster. I don't foresee anybody that Cena drops it back to other than Cody.
It's the only logical way to go, I think. But hey, we'll see what happens. Speaking of champions, people discovered this over the weekend. I was kind of surprised. The only thing we could really compare the Joe Hendry Randy Orton match at WrestleMania 2. What I thought was when we had a WWF contracted wrestler beat a WCW contracted wrestler for the ECW title at a television taping when Taz beat Mike Awesome way back when, once Taz was with WWE and Mike Awesome was with WCW. But I kind of forgot that, oh yeah, a few days later, they had Taz go on SmackDown and Triple H beat him clean in the middle. What's fascinating to me about that is the WWE champion beat the ECW champion on SmackDown on April 20th. That was the exact same day, Jeff, that Randy Orton beat the TNA champion, Joe Hendry. 25 years apart, on the exact same day, you have the champion of another organization getting beat on WWE programming. I guess what I'm saying is 25 years from now,
Don't even start.
what do you make of that? Isn't it ironic? I mean, that's interesting. 25 years to the day.
Said it over and over and over. There are no coincidences in life, only convergences.
Well, let's talk about something that you and I know could talk about forever.
Oh boy.
I'm talking about Conan, who recently went on his fabulous podcast, Keeping It 100. I know that Disco Inferno is a heat magnet, but I think he and JoJo and K-Dog do a great job. And I listen every chance I get. They have me on at least once or twice a year. I love chopping it up with them. I love yelling at Disco. I love just learning from Conan. But he was quick to talk about the AAA deal, and I was surprised with how open he was about it. And as I was listening to it over the last week, I was texting you little clips, and I was kind of surprised when we sat down that Dave Silva found it just as interesting as I did.
Oh,
of course, shortly after the acquisition was announced, where WWE purchased AAA, it was revealed that Jeremy Borash was going to be heading up this department for WWE. He obviously has a long time relationship with both Conan, but also specifically Dorian. I mean, Dorian and Jeremy have been tight for years and years and years. I've had meals with both of them. Think the world of both guys. But there was a narrative out there that I guess some people believe that Jeremy Borash had heat with Conan or some such. That's not true. Conan says differently. Quote, he's a creative genius, no doubt about it. And there's nothing more fun, as you know, than wrestling against your friends or working with your friends, right? He's a good friend, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And Conan also stressed, now that AAA is under WWE's umbrella, that the production quality of its broadcasts will improve. Our problem in AAA isn't our talent, isn't our booking. It's that we didn't have any money. So, for example, they said in WWE, if you put all of your TVs together for 1 year, it's not as much as they spend on one TV in the United States. Our show will look a lot better, and we're going to be able to work with their talent, not just NXT talent. And now with money, you'll see what we can do. And at one point, Disco was even sort of freestyling. Hey, well, the main event of Triple Mania could be Dominic Mysterio defending the Mega Championship against El Grande Americano. He did that tongue in cheek, of course. And Conan says, we've kind of already talked about that. They'll both be involved, but I don't think that will be the match. And Conan would double down, saying that the reason Dorian sold the company was not that AAA was at the risk of going out of business, but that Dorian recognized they could not grow without outside help. Quote, bro, the reason they sold the company is not because we were going out of business. The reason they sold the company is because Dorian Roldan put his ego to the side, and he understood that we could never grow if we didn't have help and capital, and now we have it. But business is not bad. The last 2 years, all of our TVs have been from 85% to full, right? Our business is not bad. He would continue when he was asked if WWE's purchase might make AAA more accessible to English-speaking fans and audiences outside of Mexico, and Conan responded that was 1,000% correct. And he also confirmed that he will not be writing Disco into any AAA storylines. He says, let me tell you, for all the haters that were out there throwing shade at me this weekend, bro, what happened? You can't stop it. And what's going to happen? You can't stop that either. And the only thing we're going to give you is a much better finished product that benefits everybody, and more work to a lot of people, and more work to a lot of other Latinos that a lot of people complain and say, why aren't they being used correctly? Now they will. I love Conan's enthusiasm. I love Dorian. I know, we consider him a friend of the show, but I also know that there's another side of this. And now that WWE is firmly in business with AAA, or I guess owns it.
Own
it. Now we know that, as we just mentioned a little while ago, Arena Mexico for AEW is completely sold out. So it seems like the battle lines are drawn. It was here in America, sort of WWE versus AEW. But now in Mexico, it certainly feels like it's WWE versus AEW. Now, I'm not suggesting that Tony Khan has bought CMLL. In fact, CMLL is making it very clear in their new marketing, Jeff. I think they're saying that they're basically 100% Mexican.
Yep.
They're trying to push that, hey, we haven't sold out to the gringos. We're still authentic lucha libre, blah, blah, blah. That is the only underdog way to sell this if you're CMLL, right, Jeff?
Oh, no doubt. Oh, man.
What do you make of all this that Conan has said?
Yeah, I don't even know where to start in that. Jesus, my 20-year relationship with the Mexican audience and the fan base and the understanding. And look, I'm still going to say I'm obviously from the United States, so I don't understand it and never will understand it culturally on the deepest of levels. But I do know that there is so much that we're going to learn over the next 24, 36 months. There is so much, TBD, to be determined, how things are presented, how things are put together. But on the very core of what K-Dog's talking about is that, and look, this goes back years and years and years. And Conrad, me and you have had conversations in that, putting together a TV show on AAA, segment by segment, it was, continuity. And I'm not pointing fingers. Conan knows the situation better than anybody, but the ins and the outs and the story and how things were done, and it just the business model, it was definitely an uphill challenge. So things are going to be done, I'll say, the WWE way, the American way. Now, how culturally that resonates with the audience in Mexico, I think it's to be determined. You can see, just like you said, what CMLL's first strategy is. We're 100% Mexican. So yeah, that is where the differentiator is. And CMLL factually is the oldest ongoing wrestling promotion in the world. Their anniversary show, I don't even know what it's up to. 90, it's way up there. The stories that my dad would teach me about way back when, and just how it's culturally ingrained and everything that goes with it. But, it is going to be interesting that, like, man, Conrad, so much was said right there. I'm very curious to see the business of it. Like, where is AAA going to be seen in Mexico? What is their TV deal? What's the finances of the TV deal? What are the talent contracts? Because at its very core, and a lot of people are not even aware of it, AAA really ran, let's say 26, that's every other week, but we'll say around 26 or a few less TV tapings a year, every other week. And then they ran their 5 big shows, Summer Show and Triple Mania. And anyway, they had 5 10-pole events, and that's really what they did. Their talent Monday through Sunday would be booked out by third parties, and AAA was run truly as the old school of the booking office. So a talent like Psycho Clown could say, okay, I'm here this Monday for a third party, here this Tuesday, and they would just route them and travel all around. But they're technically working for another promoter, and the promoter is paying the talent and a booking service. So the infrastructure is AAA. That, more than anything, to me, I'm very fascinated on how does it work in the TKO system? How does it work? And I say that because, there's another party involved in here, Philippe, that you know, for the lack of a better word, that they are ingrained in this deal. And, you know, I would imagine they help package all this up. So there is so much stuff that we just don't know. Nobody knows unless you're really, really on the inside. Like what role, like, okay, is Jeremy moving to Mexico? Like to do the TVs, is who's running down to, you know, at the end of the day, when you do a TV taping, whoever runs, and they've done little shots of Tony or Vince or Triple H, or, you know, who's running go position. That's your executive producer. Who's the QB of the show? Like, how's that changing? And then when the content comes in and you got to create, you know, a 1 hour episode and the pre-tapes and all the stuff, like the real execution on every level, we don't have a clue. We're sitting here all kind of talking in a lot of ways, I don't say in circles, but talking about so much of the unknown on really what the product's going to look like what's it going to look like. And then once you kind of land on, okay, this is what the product is, how is that fan base, you know, how's it culturally going to resonate? Is it going to, I'll say, get over with the hardcore Lucha Libre fans? To be determined. Is it going to attract new fans? I think that's a huge initiative. How do they service them? You know, when you go to the biggest of the biggest, I'll say the Triple Manias, the Arena Mexicos, when you go to those shows, the street vendors outside, they're selling a boatload of merch. You can call it bootleg, but it's, you know, it's unlicensed. Like, how does TKO handle that situation? Conrad, there is so much unknown that nobody, unless you're, again, on the inside, really knows. And I think those that are on the inside are going to take this kind of on a block and tackle. So I'm excited, again, for the business. All this is continuing to evolve. You said it, AEW, you know, partnering. We're going to Mexico, using that arena, selling out. The execution of that show, I think, can go a long way. You know, damn, Conrad, just the Lucha Libre aspect in the industry. And that's where, you know, Conan has waved that flag for 30 years. You know, way back, just the evolution of Lucha Libre in the United States. Again, are they going to run some Lucha shows and tour a Lucha product? And I'm saying they, as in TKO, are they going to tour AAA in America? I don't know, TBD, but it's certainly going to be fascinating to watch. At the end of the day, it's great for the industry. Rising tide does lift all shifts.
Is this the biggest wrestling story of the year?
It's
so far?
So far this year,
Yeah.
I'd have to put it at least 2.
What's the biggest?
Rock selling out Toronto.
It wasn't a sellout, Jeff.
What?
No, it wasn't a sellout, Jeff.
Oh, but he did. He took it over the top, didn't he?
No.
No?
No.
You mean a friend of 25 years called up and he didn't deliver?
Well, they needed something to make it electric and to get people talking. And to be clear, I know we're being a little obtuse. The John Cena turn had untold impressions online.
Yeah.
And The Rock's involvement certainly turned the volume up and added.
Oh, huge.
So there was phenomenal value in The Rock being there.
Yeah. And we're joking on that.
But yeah, but still, the clickbait is going to be, oh, Jeff Jarrett and Conrad say Rock didn't sell shit. Well, that's not true. I'm just saying they already had like 27,000 tickets sold. That's a pretty good day if you're any wrestling promotion.
But anyway,
I do think having Rock in the ring added impressions.
Oh, no, it's huge. I'm totally going off, having fun and all that across the board. But the biggest news story of the year, we're sitting here in April. And the kind of the business part of what we're talking about. I think the AAA transaction, are there more transactions to come? I don't know. We may be looking at it, but it is certainly right now. You'd be better if you'd say, hey, what about this story? What about this story? What about this story? But when TKO acquires a 30-year plus wrestling promotion, it's headline news. Because it's a shift in how the industry's operated.
Jeff, most people listening to this have never been to Mexico and don't really consume Lucha Libre on a regular basis. So I'm going to ask it in plain country speak that you and I can understand. I've been told over and over again by people who are in the area, who live in Mexico, who understand it, who speak the language. They tell me that AAA is the bigger brand, but Arena Mexico is sort of what people know. Like the idea being, hey, if you wrestle in Arena Mexico, that is the equivalent of saying, oh, I play at Madison Square Garden. So even though AAA doesn't have access to Arena Mexico, they have maybe the brand of AAA Lucha Libre, but Arena Mexico, to people who live in Mexico, that's considered the pinnacle because of the building, and CMLL has control of that. Is that close?
You, without question, yes. Here is something that I think some people, and I may not do a good job here, but Conrad, you can help me on this. But when you see different statistics that come out, Ken Griffey is still on the Seattle Mariners or whatever payroll. Bobby Bonilla, whatever, got paid $1 million. You know, when you kind of look at how big Major League Baseball is America's favorite pastime, there's no doubt about it. It has a crazy, now I know it's changing, a crazy amount of money on it. The TV rights deals, and again, I know this, but NFL, oh my gosh, over the last 10 years, 15 years, they're on TV and this and that and this. I don't think it's the exact analogy, but culturally, CMLL has been ingrained for, I can Google it, but I want to say 85, 86, 87 years. And in Mexico City, which is the capital, 20 million people down there, it literally is not just on historic places, but it is protected by the government. Friday night wrestling has happened for generations and generations and generations. CMLL, like I said, has buildings in Puebla and Guadalajara that are, you know, one's on Tuesday, one's on Sunday. Anyway, but they have a staple of wrestling years and years. So in the culture, all due respect, there's no comparison. They're just, they're not. And it's interesting to see how this is going to affect CMLL's future business, because I can see a scenario, because you have to really, and again, I'm an American, obviously, and I'm not from Mexico, but there is I think in a lot of ways why I was so successful through the years down there. I represented blonde-haired, blue-eye American businessman. That doesn't sit well. They're always the baby brother, or however analogy you want to compare Mexico to U.S. That cultural relationship has always been a hot button. So at the very core of this transaction, how is the Mexican public going to vote on an American company acquiring Lucha Libre? I think that is the question to be answered.
Since you and I have been live this morning here recording, we've seen some reports come out from Bryan Danielson. I wanted to share with you. We've got a comment about who he would like to work for. He's worked for a lot of people in the wrestling space. Here's what Bryan had to say. Bryan Danielson was asked who he'd choose to run a wrestling company out of Tony Khan, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Triple H, and Dixie Carter. Bryan says, "This is my legitimate answer. People are going to assume that I work for AEW. So he's just saying that it's his boss. But I would legitimately have Tony Khan. I think he's very in tune with what wrestling fans want. But he's also a good person. I'm not saying anything bad about anyone else, but I know he tries to treat people with respect and kindness no matter where they are on the roster." So Bryan Danielson saying if he could pick to work for anyone in wrestling, and he listed off a who's who, including Vince and Dixie and Eric and Hunter and everybody, he chooses Tony Khan. You surprised?
No, I'm not. They've got a really great relationship. And what he's saying is exactly that last part. It treat people how you want to be treated.
Respect and kindness, yes.
Yeah, respect and kindness. And look, that is without question, at the very core, that doesn't surprise me at all. That's the truth.
Let's do another one that we see from the Wrestle Purist account. They're recapping what Bryan Danielson said to the Daily Star, and he was asked if you could pick 4 wrestlers you'd want to start a promotion with, who would it be? No surprise, he doubled down on the AEW selections. He picked Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Jon Moxley, and Kenny Omega. Now, Jeff, I know better than to ask you this because you work there, and I don't want to get you any heat. So let me ask, if you were to make a list of 4 wrestlers you were going to start a promotion with, not signed to AEW. So these are people who are outside the tent. Maybe they work for TNA. Maybe they're on the indies. Maybe they work for New Japan. Maybe they work for AAA. Maybe they work for WWE. Maybe they work for CMLL. Who would your 4 be that are outside the AEW tent? You're going to start a promotion with these 4, Jeff.
Because this gets into the kind of the Mount Rushmore discussion, and I'm going to look at it and say 4 people, and then I'm going to end up, I wish I would have that one and this and that. So, Conrad, here's kind of where I'm going to go with it. And look, you'd have to get into I won't get into all the negotiations of this, but I would take the top influencer. I would take 4 influencers because the roster can be filled out with available talent. No disrespect, but today's world is all about creating, truly creating a brand first. It rises above everything. You get the engagement, you get the notoriety. I mean, you kind of look at the,
so you're going Logan Paul, Ronda Rousey, Great Khali, Nikki Bella?
Well, I don't know about that, but I would do the 4 top influencers I could find.
Sure.
That come from different parts. If I'm starting a promotion, I'll say this: I'd get the top influencer from India. I'd get the top influencer from Europe. I'd get probably Mr. Beast. And then I'd get 2 from North America that can be the megaphone and continually blast it and sign them to a long-term deal. Because then you can get your talent and develop and all that. And I'm being serious there, because I just think any 4 wrestlers that I pick from today's rosters, the audience has already voted on them, good and bad. And I take that. I get that. But if I'm starting a new promotion, you got to promote. And I think that's the very core of what we do.
It's going to be interesting to see what AEW does. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTIX.com. I'm excited. It feels like we're on a collision course for the next big pay-per-view. Of course, Double or Nothing will be here before you know it. But speaking of collision, Jeff, we got to address the elephant in the room.
Oh, well, you got
make your return on television last week, and I think we've got a clip here. Let's take a look.
Jeff and Karen, Jarrett, we haven't seen you guys in quite some time. What exactly is next for you?
Well, that's a great question, Lexi. Hey, guys, perhaps we should ask that to Sanjay if he ever decides to show up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Winnie, guys, how y'all doing?
Oh, look who decided to grace us with his presence.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Lexi, I think it's clear we need a minute.
Oh, is that
You want to
clear?
give us a second?
Yeah. You know what, Lexi? Give us a hey, guys. As the person who's known Sanjay the longest, as his best friend, let me be the one to ask him, what the hell is your problem? Huh? Where have you been? Showing up late? We are here week after week, ready to put in the work. And what have you gotten us? Nothing, Sanjay. You're supposed to be the leader of this group, the brains of this operation. Well, let me tell you, we are tired of sitting on the sidelines, man.
Leader of the group? Sanjay the leader? Sanjay, you know exactly what I said January 1st. I want AEW Gold. And we've talked about it over and over and over. Karen, I told you.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the wrong people.
You know what? You damn right you are. In fact, this time, I've got the ideas.
Oye, Artubi? हाँ?
वे सही क्या कह रहे बिल्कुल सही है
I don't know what Satnam said there, but it sounded pretty mean. What am I supposed to take away from this, Jeff? What's next? What does this mean?
Well, I won't get into this too deep. I think in essence, Sanjay said something like, are you walking off with him or something like that? And he said something that, yeah, it's best for me. Connie, look, it's no kind of secret that I've had a level of frustration. And I don't want to get into the deep side of this, but there was a lot of reality in that, lots of shreds of reality. I didn't get too far into it, but Conrad, I mean, just look at how the year started. And I know that, what was said on TV was one thing, and there were some things behind the scenes. And I tried to clear it up, or begin to clear it up in that promo right there. I said I wanted AEW Gold. I didn't name any specific title, any belt. I kind of referenced it with a broad stroke that I've been listening to the wrong people. Sanjay is a person, so I'll go ahead and say it. It's probably more than a few folks out there. I gotta say that in so many ways, I am super disappointed. And I'll put myself at the very top of that list. I'm super disappointed that I've got myself in this position. I can't tell you how many times I've rethought agreeing on certain levels to certain things. Another point I got to say is MJF, ever since he got involved in anything that had to do with myself, has turned to absolute shit. I told him multiple times, in the Cincinnati when we both got in the gutter, but I told him before that, I said, hey man, you're going to say what you want to say. And if you want to go in the gutter, I don't want to go there. It's not good for me. I don't believe it's good for you. I don't believe it's good for the product. He did that. He obviously took high offense to me wanting AEW Gold, and I won't get into all that mess, but yeah, I mean, you look, and when I really take a step back and look at all of it, there's not one talent that has been, and I won't say worked with, because I hadn't really worked with MJF. Have I been involved with it? Yeah, on a certain level. He always leaves everyone worse than when he started being associated on any level. I think he's toxic. I think he's selfish. I think he's got a boatload of talent, but I don't think he was good for my career on any level. I think he got me off on a wrong track on a couple of different avenues. I also think that I'm the one to blame. I've been around a long time. I think Sanjay gets kind of dialed into things, and I think he lost his way, and I think us as a group in a lot of ways lost his way, and I'm the veteran, and I should take more of a mindset on it, but we'll see where this thing goes. But listening to the wrong people is kind of the understatement of my 2025 AEW career. But Conrad, with that being said, as I learned a long time ago, you can turn things around and get back on track if given the opportunity. So that's kind of the mindset to get the right opportunity. I think it goes without saying Jay Lethal is an incredible talent. Satnam Singh is truly one in a billion. Oh, Queen got a little spicy, like she did last week on My World, our little post-Dynamite special. I'd love to do that again. But Sanjay means well. We've got to figure things out. And if I am truly the kind of leader of the group and looking at my final contract, and there's a lot more to be revealed about all of that I prefer to things to stay. In a lot of ways, it's not for the public's consumption. It's not public business, but there's a lot that took place, and we'll just see how it kind of develops. I'll say that. But I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. The MJF situation was a massive, massive, massive mistake on so many levels. That goes without saying, but. We'll see.
Well, we will see. I can't wait to see who gets a guitar necklace this Wednesday. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It sounds like somebody's going to wake up on Thursday with a headache in Norfolk, Virginia.
I don't know about that.
Go join your tickets. Go pick them up right now at AEWTIX.com. Don't you dare miss it. It's going to be on TBS and, of course, on Max. They've already announced that MJF is going to be there. We're going to hear from the Hurt Syndicate. Kenny Omega's in action. Okada's in action. The Young Bucks are in action. A little return to form for AEW Dynamite. It feels old school. I'm looking forward to it. And I wanted to mention before we got out of here that you nailed it. We had a surprise live last Wednesday night, immediately following Dynamite at 10 o'clock Eastern. I mean, as soon as the show went off the air, you were live in the backstage area. And I thought it would just be you and I chatting for a few minutes and answering questions. But we had run-ins from Black Machismo, Jay Lethal showing up, doing his best, Randy Savage. And then here came Satnam Singh. And, of course, the queen herself, Miss Karen Jarrett. And when Karen decided, I'm tired of pussyfooting around and playing by the rules and being politically correct, she just cut right through all the bullshit and said things that you and I would never say. And the heat got so hot to handle that old Black Machismo just exited stage left.
He sure did. He took
the hell out of here. If you missed it, I want to encourage you, go right now to myworldpod.com. That's myworldpod.com. Hit the subscribe button. And if you're not sure if you should, just go watch our live video from last Wednesday. That will tell you missed some of the best wrestling content of the week last week, and it was free at myworldpod.com. Will we be live this week? I don't know. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications bell. If Jeff Jarrett is not escorted out in handcuffs or stretchered out because he went down swinging, maybe we'll be live. But you won't miss a minute if you go hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications bell. Jeff, we're getting ready to wrap it up. We've been going for 2 hours and 6 minutes. I guess now it's time for us to start our Gail Kim topic of the day.
Conrad, what is
we're gonna try it next week, I promise.
What is going on, pal?
I don't know, man. Listen, we get on here and I ask you what time it is, and 4 hours later you tell me how to make a wife.
15 topics, and I got shorter and shorter and shorter with my responses.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just hopeful one day we get to talk about Gail Kim. But I had a lot of fun chatting with you today. Yeah. I, for one, really hope we get to see a tag match with Rock on one side, Triple H on the other. I hope AAA and WWE absolutely light it up. I think that's going to be great for business. I can't wait to see AEW in Arena Mexico. There's a lot of fun stuff happening in wrestling right now. And I hope by this time next week, we all know what's up with that Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, black and white NWO video. It's a fun time to be a wrestling fan. Tell your friends to come check us out and join us here on My World.
Peace.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.